thank you for sharing this with us. I did some cheating. I did some homework. So I read how you and your mother were in a Buddhist monastery retreat, and that's when the idea of the film came to you. Do you wanna? I want you to share that story.
Yes, well, as I said in the beginning of the film, that actually the impulse comes from my childhood and understanding through experience of going into smoke sauna, that this is the safe space where all experiences and emotions can be shared. And then, yes, 2015, I was doing a 26 days of silent retreat with my mother, with whom we have really turbulent relationship. We have had very turbulent relationship, let's say like this. And we went there to heal it, and then I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't do anything, of course not speaking. And in that silence, I really started to notice voices inside me, and started to question, but where is my voice? Or if I'm speaking, is it really my voice? Or the voices that go, generations past, like my granny's voice or teacher's voice, or where is my voice? And what does it mean to speak with their own voice? And the importance of voice. And also I noticed many silenced voices that had been silenced. And then one night, somehow this power of the voice and then my experience from smoke sauna culture came together and came like a vision for this film. And I was like, and then you could go to a lady monk when there was something very important. And I really got this urge to write my idea down. And but I had no ways to do it, so I went to the lady monk and asked permission, because I felt this is strong, and otherwise maybe it goes away, and I'm just in the middle. I don't remember, was it 10th day or something? And she was like, no, because you came here to be silent, Anna. No, you no writing. But she told me that when it is important, it will stay with you. And this was a very important lesson that I learned, because it stayed with me for these 26 days after going back. And she also said that don't now think every day about it, because then you're not doing meditation. So I had to promise that I'm doing my meditation and not think about my idea. And it stayed with me, and now actually I use it as a method when there is the birth of an idea. It often comes to me in this kind of cloud, or and I want to write things down. Then I'm now suppressing. Like I'm not suppressing. I'm not writing them. I leave them for around 26 days to see if it is still in me. And if it is still in me, then I know this comes from a deep place, and is this deep voice inside me that carries through the challenges of filmmaking. Like this film I made 7 years. So, and you need that connection with your voice to go through the challenges.
Marianne, did you grow up in this culture as well?
No, I didn't. I had been to smoke sauna one time before I boarded the project, but my roots from my father's side are in this area. And for example, they have their own language that I have never used in my childhood or so, but I understand it. And an Estonian from South Estonia doesn't, North Estonia, for example, doesn't understand it. Although I'm also born in North Estonia, it's somehow there. Anyways, but regarding this project, so Anna started it more than 7 years ago with another producer, who unfortunately passed away 3 years later. But I, at the time when they got the very first development funding, I read about this project, and I was literally like asking, okay, universe, how did it happen that I am not producing this film? It felt so something that I would just really, really love to do. And life has very, very strange ways. So 3 years later, I had actually been crawling through a very dark period in my life where I was literally, I just broke under this pressure of perfectionism, striving, deep shame about feeling not enough, and I just let myself broke apart. And then I had crawled out from this tunnel, and then I felt that now I'm gonna just do what I feel called to do and see where it leads me. And that day it led me to Fridays for Future protest. And Anna was there. We knew each other before, but we hadn't worked together. And there we were protesting for a better world. And 1 week later, Anna called me and they invited me to take over this project because there was no more producer. And although the situation was very complicated, also financially, it was a full body yes. And I'm just so happy that it came to me.
We are very glad too. Before I open it up, my last question. See, I grew up in India and I was looking at this film and I said, the one thing that kept coming back to me was this idea of shame. Like how we don't have this space of just, and it's one thing to be naked in front of your friends in a sauna, and it's one thing to be this naked and this vulnerable in front of a camera. So how did you navigate that idea of shame?
Shame is, yes, so important in the sense that during this process I discovered how many layers of deep shame we all have inside us. But I answering this, I start from this, that I think it was possible to make this film because I'm from that culture, and it's like in humanities they speak now a lot about it, how old times it used to be when you did research, it was outsider looking at a culture or a tribe, or and now there's more and more importance of voices from within the culture. So I'm like a voice from within the culture, and there is already deep trust between me and the Sisterhood that I'm part of. So it started really with the friends, the Sisterhood, and I had some rules, and one rule was this, that I will not persuade anyone, and I will not start convincing anyone. So I met the women and I shared what level of intimacy I'm looking after, and only those who were, yes, we want to do this film, we want to be part, then we continued. And when I felt that there was hesitation, then for me it was no, and I didn't continue. At the same time, Estonia is really small. We have only 1.3 million people, and people started to know that I'm doing this film, and they started to approach me, women that I didn't know before. And there even came one car once, I remember, in the farmhouse where I was living and filming, and a woman came out and she was like, "Where is the smoke sauna? I want to be there." And I was like, "Okay, let's go." Then we had this trust. I will talk about the visual key also, but we had this trust that in the post-production, in the edit, I show the cut and they have the right to say yes or no. So it was really like including the voices, and also in the visual, like for me the challenge was my background is in photography, and I'm very aware that you take out camera, it's never objective, it's always subjective, it always has a glance. How to make sure that the nakedness that is integral part of smoke sauna, that is not sexualized. You go there, you take off your physical clothes, but also your emotional clothes, and there is like all different bodies are together, different ages, and every body has the right to exist, and there is nothing sexual there. But how to make sure that this comes through into the camera? So me and cinematographer were testing. I was testing with the cinematographer on my own body, and finding this visual key, and where I felt safe, and then I showed it to the women, and they felt safe, and then I was including who wanted to show their face, who didn't want. So it was all the time like, like being in the circle of sisterhood. Till now the sisterhood is waiting for me. I reach home, really home back in Christmas, and they already are saying, we have smoke sauna for you ready. So now they're nurturing me and sending love for me, like messages. Yeah. Oh, and also this is important that we didn't talk. I had this that we don't talk about what we're going to talk about in smoke sauna. So it was always entering into unknown. And one smoke sauna session lasts several hours. Regularly we had 4 hours. But you're like inside, and you go out, and you come back. And but once it was 8 hours because just things started to emerge. And you know, you see in this film, maybe story comes in 10 minutes, but maybe it came on 3rd hour. And I also said, no pressure, we just go to smoke sauna, no pressure for any story. But because I come from the culture, I know that things come up. Like, I don't need to know anything about you. And let's say they come and say, Anna, please make a film of smoke sauna, this humanhood here. And then you would all agree, I don't need to know that what stories you have. I would trust you have amazing stories, because we all have, really.
Well, thank you, and that love, trust comes through so beautifully. And you're a musician, so I don't think that music score, that sound is so beautiful. Questions from the audience?
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, I just thank you so much for this gift of this film. I'm just so moved and like inspired. Like, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I do have a question. I'm like trying to move. I mean, I just wanted to ask if you could just talk about just if you shared any of those rules with the women, and I was just thinking about what just in the beginning you talked about how this was a sacred space, and I was just thinking, how does one film the sacred? And just like how you thought about that going into it. And then the second question I had was just like it seemed like an older woman. You know, we didn't see her face, and just like your thinking around that. But
Thank you. About the sacred space, I can say that the motivation for me to make this film and for women who participate was to share that kind of possibility of a safe space to the humanhood. And we feel that it doesn't just, it's important to share it. And when I'm traveling around the world and I feel so much how it resonates with people, and it tells me of that need and the lack of this kind of safe space where we are able to really share but also hear the uncomfortable. When I started the film, I thought most important is the courage to share the uncomfortable. But during the filming, I understood that it starts with the courage to hear the uncomfortable. Are we ready to hear each other really out? And so this was the motivation, and how to film the sacredness is it requires a lot of sensitivity, and it was huge responsibility to be there to hold the emotional space but also physical space, because it's very challenging. It's 80 degrees Celsius hot, 200 Fahrenheit hot. Then you know how to make sure physically everyone is safe. So, for example, it was like this. How can I say? It was this rule that yeah, everyone knew this, that whoever needed to go out, whoever needed to do whatever they felt it was right, they had that allowance or that permission. And it was it's this kind of film. You when you start it, you know that it's not like, oh, you go to set and then it's bye-bye. It takes several years. You are with this sisterhood till the end. And are you ready? Like for a director, it was this question, are you ready? But because I was in that monastery and I could be with I was very strongly with this voice of mine, and I was like, yes, I'm ready. And it's just like all the time being like having a dialogue, or, you know, with these people, and then and those who were actually not wanting in the beginning. There were several who in the beginning for me were like hesitant. They started to contact me later, and they wanted to be in the film, and things like started to happen. Like, for example, this woman who's there with her face and her name, she came on board on second year, and she was like, I want to be there and with my face. And my way of filmmaking, what I'm always looking for is that there's life, organicness, that it's not me opposing my vision, but like how creating from the impulses, and how to capture those impulses, these organic impulses. A woman comes and says, I want to be there with a face. Okay, I thought I was doing a film with no faces. Now there is a face, you know, and then okay, you know, and then it becomes part of the vision. My vision was the voices of the women, the power of smoke sauna, or the magic of smoke sauna, and they were like guiding me. The old woman, a very beautiful story with this old woman. Her name is Marianne. She's now 3 years dead. But I met her years, I don't remember now anymore, but like maybe 12 years ago or something. And it was like this, that I was doing archaeological excavations. Not me, I was doing, my friend was doing as a professor, and I was there helping. And in the night we often do this, that then we sing and make fire. And I sing those old songs. Okay, singing old songs. Next day we went to see if we find any villages, because we were doing it really in the middle of, you can say, nowhere, like on the borders of Russia, Estonia, forests, villages are gone. But then we reached this farm, and in the middle of the farm there was sitting this old lady, you know, and she was smiling, and she was like, hello, I was waiting for you. I was like, what? Because the day before she had heard these songs, and these were the songs that long time ago nobody was singing there, but she remembered from childhood. And we immediately connected, and she adopted me, like, because my own Southeast Estonian grandmother is almost 19 years old, 19 years dead. And she was like, I'm going to be your new Seto grandmother. And it was such a beautiful, like, she was like my new granny. And she reminded me of my granny, my biological granny. And then, you know, she couldn't wait till the film is finished. And then I was like, okay, I have this, because like 4 years ago or something, 5 years ago, she became really sick also. And then I had that material, and I was like, I felt strong that her voice has to be there, like giving us the generational, like, what do you call it, spectrum. And I was like, oh, like how? Because I just had this material that I had, and people were telling me that no, it doesn't fit, or, you know. I was like, no, it has to be there. And then in one night she came in a dream, and it was like she was like this kind of smoky, and I was like, yes, this is the way. Thank you. And so it was real smoke, and then we projected that material that I had. I had shot it myself in a very, I don't know which camera I had. And it worked, and then it was yes, she's like the spirit. She's like the spirit of smoke. She's the spirit of foremothers. She's like the voice of foremothers. So for me, she's my granny also. That's the story with her.
And it also helps to have a fantastic producer who
Yes.
has your back through all these choices.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important. You're never making film alone.
Yeah.
It's so important to have people who are supporting the vision.
Thank you so much. And
Oi. But I'm not leaving without a song, because wherever I am, I'm doing a song, and I'm not.
I can't sing. So you
I am not doing it alone, but I'm doing it together with you, all of us. So this is a thank you song. Thank you for taking your time to come here, to be in the smoke sauna, sisterhood, humanhood. And let's do it. So I sing the first line and then I repeat and then you all repeat.
It's the ancient Estonian runic verse, the way it is sung.
Aitüma, 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 ait.
Aitüma, 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 ait.
Armas New Yorgi publikum.
Armas New Yorgi publikum.
Armas Tokenwise'i festival.
Armas Tokenwise'i festival.
Vägev Greenwich distribution.
Vägev Greenwich distribution.
All our shame into sweat waters. All our shame into sweat waters. All our pain into cold water. All our pain into cold water. All our fears into cold water. All our fears into cold water. May we be blessed by sacred waters. May we be blessed by sacred waters. Aitüma, 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 ait.
Aitüma, 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 ait.
Aitüma teile, olge terve, olge hoitud, aitüma. Thank you so much.